Welcome back to another episode of Embracing Magic with me, Steph, and my co-host Tony. Today we are in the Haunted Bookshop in the heart of Bristol, so you may hear some outside noises filtering through. And we're bringing you a very special episode today of The Witch's Bookshelf Part 3, where we'll be diving into some magical books we've been reading recently. And we have a very special guest with us today, Liz. Hello.
Awkward, like Wallace wave.
Liz is a tea leaf and tarot reader here in the bookshop. Welcome, Liz. It's lovely to have you here with us today.
Well, it's really nice to be here, even though it's quite warm, but I think we'll get through. We've got our lemon water to hand.
We do. It is a very warm day, very muggy day in Bristol, isn't it? So we were chatting just now, actually, about the energies at the moment and how wild it is.
Right, yeah.
Do you want to tell everyone sort of a little bit more about that and how you've been feeling and navigating those energies?
Certainly. I will say, yesterday I met up with Francesca, who you'll be speaking to later, and the first thing she said was like, "Oh, how are you?" And I was like, I think I feel like a newborn baby. Like, I felt very raw. I think previous to this big shift that we've just had, which is Pluto is in retrograde, which it does go retrograde like once a year, but it's a bit of a special one because it's currently going backward through Aquarius, and it hasn't done that since 1778.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Right, it was a big one, and it was 1778 to 1798. Is that right? It's what I wrote down. That's what Google told me.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
That's the era of my haircut.
Yeah, that's a long retrograde. But during this period, we had the French Revolution and the American Revolution, and they kind of wrote their constitutions. There were some really major shifts happening globally. But as an Aquarius sun and moon, kind of know that we're quite rebellious. We don't really agree with societal norms and try and push against them where we can. And then with Pluto itself, it's a planet of power, but also a profound transformation. And so I also feel like, this Aquarius sun moon, I feel like there's a real big calling for us to go with this inner transformation. There's a lot of kind of quiet presence to be called in, especially with 2025 being like the year of the Hermit, which is very, very much about being present and kind of seeking that inner illumination. So it feels quite soul stirring.
So when you say, because you said the French Revolution and, so that was a time of big conflict then?
And big changes, yeah. I think.
Do you think that matches what's sort of happening right now, like with all the conflict in the world and, do you think there's a bit of a mirror going on there?
Potentially. Sorry.
That's okay.
Can you ask me that again? Sorry.
So you were saying in that period, the last time this happened, this energetic transition happened, there was a lot of conflict going on. French Revolution. Did you say the civil?
Yeah, the American Revolution. They wrote the Constitution kind of during this period.
So that's quite a big sort of time politically and socially.
Yeah,
and it's happening now again while we've got what's going on in the Far East, and we've got lots of political stuff happening it's happening everywhere, but we know a lot about what's happening in America right now. I'm just wondering if it's a bit of a mirror in time, that this shift is happening again, and similar sort of like friction going on.
Yeah, I do think we're probably going to see some quite big shifts again. I mean, we've already had a new pope since this Pluto has gone in retrograde in Aquarius, so that's kind of a biggie.
Big change with this pope as well.
Like all for immigration, but not so much for the queer community.
Open borders, but like I think. Are you sure about the queer community? I'd heard differently. I thought he was quite pro-LGBTQIA and also pro-abortion and
interesting.
Very, very anti-Trump actually.
Very anti-Trump, which is JD Vance.
I mean, it's still Catholicism, so I'm kind of like But
I've come across info about him. Well, maybe jury's out then about where he stands.
I could also just totally be wrong. But, I thought that I'd read this earlier, and I was like, I don't know. There's so much wild stuff going on,
and there's information being thrown at us all the time. From through all different avenues.
Lots to absorb.
Oh my gosh, the rain is coming down now.
We need it though, don't we? It's so humid here.
We do.
We're just taking a really quick break in this episode to share something that's honestly become part of my everyday life and that I think might really help you too. I've been using the Aura app for a while now, and it's helped me so much with winding down after busy days, whether I've been working, busy keeping up with general life, or just feeling really overwhelmed. I've found that having something to guide me back into a calm headspace just makes all the difference. I actually created my own playlist on Aura as well. It's full of calming meditations, soundscapes, and my personal favourite at the moment, sounds of the sea. There's something about that rhythmic movement, it just washes everything away. I put it on, close my eyes, and I feel like I'm lying on the shoreline, breathing with the tide. It instantly grounds me so much. So if you've been feeling a bit scattered, anxious, or like you need a better wind down routine, I would really recommend trying Aura. Aura is offering a free 7-day trial plus 25% off your first year. And honestly, by downloading the free trial through our link below, you're not just trying something that will really help you, you're also supporting us here at Embracing Magic. It really helps us keep creating these magical episodes and beautiful partnerships. So thank you.
But yeah, there is a lot going on, especially I think more locally to Bristol, really feeling that pressure on the trans community and the ruling. So yeah, there is definitely like change, and I hope revolution in the air. That's my Aquarius really speaking out though. Like I want to see change. Want to see people stepping into stillness and kind of really sitting with what's important to them and not just kind of rushing into being productive all the time, and I guess being a bit lost within all of that. I think we're so on this kind of treadmill of moving all the time. It's really hard to know exactly what we can do differently. It feels quite suffocating sometimes, I think, the kind of society that we live in.
Do you have any sort of advice for anyone navigating these energies at the moment?
Well, no one in living memory has gone through this retrograde, so we don't fully know what's going to happen and how we're meant to feel. I think always be kind to ourselves is a really, really important key lesson. I'd been feeling personally, like just before the retrograde, like really quite stagnant actually. Even in my tarot, and I've been practicing for a long time, my readings, I just feel like my clients were happy, they were none the wiser, but on a personal level I was like, it feels a bit stagnant and some energy that needs to move here. I did link in with a friend, kind of spiritual mentor, Simone, the Mystic, on Instagram.
Oh yeah,
you come across her in Brighton.
Yeah, I think I might follow her actually.
She's wonderful.
Yeah.
You should totally get her on the podcast.
Yeah.
She's brilliant. I knew it was time to reach out to my own spiritual mentor and to get some guidance, and she did. Suggest that might be some kind of changing of my own guides and kind of calling in different energies. So I think it's just being open to, changing things up. But taking it slowly. This is not a thing to rush. Like spiritual evolution is not something we can do in a day. But this retrograde is up until like mid-October. So I guess it's just being aware that the energies are really potent and kind of wild, and there's going to be a lot happening in the wider world. And how do we as individuals sit with that and show up for ourselves, show up for our communities. And speak kindly to ourselves when it does feel a bit difficult, and try and lean into it and kind of push through in a way that feels gentle.
It kind of also leads into the book that you're going to talk about as well, doesn't it?
It does.
Remind me what it was called again? I can't remember.
Yeah, so it's not a witchy book specifically, but I feel like every witch should read it. It's called Rest is Resistance by Trisha Hersey. I first came across it when I first went self-employed, which is at the back end of summer last year. Funnily enough, I'd had another session with Simone, with Sim. And she did some Sekhem healing. It's like a fiery version of Reiki. And it was distant, and she kind of I don't exactly know how it happens, but it felt amazing. And she did this full kind of check-in on my energy body and lots of clearing and other magical, mystical things. And she was saying, wow, you are really tired, you're really burnt out. But I was like, but I'm fired up, I'm going self-employed, I want to do all these things. But actually maybe she was right, because I'd been a PA, EA for a long time, and was in this kind of corporate world. And so I was like, fine, I'll rest. And then I realised, actually, I'm really tired. I hadn't realised.
It's only sometimes when you actually go into that rest that you realise that, I really need this.
Yeah, because we're so in our minds, I think we forget to drop into our bodies. But I had in my mind rest is resistance as a kind of thing that was running in my head. So I must have come across this book somewhere. It was in my psyche. So I just typed it into Spotify, and this book came up, and I was like, perfect. And so I hit play as I just kind of lazed on my bed for a few days, just really running through this amazing audiobook. I have some notes here. I'm just going to shuffle my little book here. So I guess first of all, Trisha Hersey, she's an African-American woman living in Midwest America. And it was her maternal grandmother, who's called Orla Caston. And she was a real someone who would reclaim moments of her day for rest. And she would say things like, I'm just listening, or I'm just resting my eyes. But the whole book is a huge call to action, to take refuge in rest and the power of our community, and kind of encouraging everyone to rest and slow down. And it's for one thing she really, really hits home about is rest is for everybody. It's not just this thing that you can package in the wellness community and go on a retreat or sell a powder that's going to help you to feel rested and rejuvenated. It's our divine right. She talks in a lot of detail about, actually, first of all, I will say she's a phenomenal storyteller. And although if you're someone who likes to read books, I really do recommend her audiobook, just to hear her voice and really bring these stories to life.
I love hearing an author's voice anyway, if you're listening to Audible or whatever, because A Spell in the Winds, for instance, the author.
Wild.
Alice
in the Wild.
Spell in the Wild. Spell in the Wind.
I nearly thought about bringing that book today.
It's one of my favourites.
Yeah,
is it Alice Turbuck?
I think.
Her voice is beautiful. She's got such a beautiful, soft, Scottish voice. But there's been quite a few people when I've listened to their own voices telling their own story. It's just. Can I also just take a second to say the weather is amazing for being in a haunted bookshop and then having the thunder and lightning going on.
Thunder and lightning, and
the rain is bouncing.
Rain just started as we started the podcast as well.
Yeah. There's a river just forming across the road.
Yeah, Steph and I looked at each other when the thunder happened, and we were like, "Ooh, spooky!"
Wow.
Yeah.
It's really, really going now. Perfect. So carry on, do.
It's amazing. It's very soothing, very cleansing. But I think a lot of the book, and I know that I'm not going to do it justice, and I really, can't kind of hit home about how powerful this book is and how powerful her message is. But she talks about liberation from the capitalist society that we live in through rest. And it's really about our survival and the quality of life that we have. Her ancestors were enslaved people, with her being African American, and that was the first time that bodies were really used as almost machines and used to kind of measure productivity. And white supremacy and capitalism has been built off the backs of enslaved people, and it's a society and structure and system that we still live in today, and how every one of us is a victim of white supremacy and capitalism, and just reclaiming rest as if it's an easy thing every day in our own way is going to look different for everyone. Is this really powerful thing that we can do. She encourages us all to have a detox from social media, and we were talking a bit earlier about this need to create content and put it out there, and kind of feeding into that wheel of being productive.
We're so guilty of that as well. Because obviously running a podcast, on a social media platform, we're literally doing it right now. But we have to grow. We have to reach people. And
even obviously, we both run our own businesses, and you just even you as well, you have to be on social media. It's you can't really get away from it, can you? Because how are you going to get how are you going to grow your business without it now?
Yeah, people aren't really flying for tarot reading and retreats.
So yeah, it is really difficult. Really difficult to. I mean, I think we go through waves though, don't we? Of feeling like you can create the content, but actually pulling yourself back and be like, I actually don't want to be on social media right now.
That's part of my cycle. Like I have parts of my cycle where I'm like, damn, loads of energy. Like, and I make loads of reels and I'll store them up and my drafts and everything, and I'm ready to go. And then I have real, big dips where I just don't even want to be seen on social media. I don't want to speak to anyone. I don't want my face to be seen.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in that phase now. I'm in my luteal. We've got a big full moon tomorrow. Like, I normally menstruate around the full moon. So this is my period of like wanting to retreat.
We're on our polar opposites because I'm ovulating. I'm like, hello world.
Yeah. Full moons for me are like all about releasing and just letting stuff go. I normally have like real big emotional like breakthroughs around this time. But I guess the thing with coming off social media, it's not about being perfect. It's about allowing ourselves to daydream more, and when we're scrolling on social media, ultimately, what the aim of the game is that we part with our money and we buy something that we're being advertised for, and so there's like an unplugging. It doesn't have to be fully coming off social media, but having more of a break from it. And so even now I'm guilty of it. I'll be resting, but I'll be on my phone. I'm like, this isn't rest. I'm still like plugged into like this capitalist machine. And then I'm like, oh, do I want to buy that thing? I'm like, no, I don't want to buy that. I'm just trying to rest.
Sorry to interrupt you, but have you watched The Social Network? Is that what that documentary is called?
Oh, I have. Not for a while though. Yeah.
I mean, I haven't watched it for a while either, but just with what you're talking about, it terrifies me that this literally programmed machine is like worked out all of our traits for when we spend money and stuff like that. So if you're someone that tends to like not sleep very well, for instance, and you're scrolling online at 1 a.m.
What if they know our cycle? And we know in we're more likely to sign up to like a class or get makeup or something, and then
they're trying to get us on Noon or like Flow or whatever they're called.
And then in luteal they're like, hey, do you want this gravity blanket? Like,
so they probably don't really know that it's our cycle, but they probably know our habits around our cycle. But anyway, I mean, you might not want to watch it, but it's a very interesting thing to know that this sort of algorithm is working out what our spending habits are, and it's kind of producing content aimed to get us to buy things, which is what I was hearing you saying. It's just a little bit frightening, really.
It is quite frightening. And she talks about if everyone rested, it wouldn't stop capitalism, but collectively we could slow it down just a touch and kind of daydream about what liberation could look like, and
take some money out of, I won't say his name's pocket.
You could fill many names in that blank.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know where you get your next day packages from. Let's just say that.
But we can often feel so guilty for resting as well. It's really we've kind of been brainwashed, like as just creatures who are born into this world, who just want to love and experience life. If the system was different, we wouldn't feel guilty for resting. I
feel very guilty for resting. Like I feel like if I haven't produced a piece of social media, I also work in social media really, and if I haven't done a good job, like I just feel so much guilt. And I know it's capitalism. I know that. It's very difficult to deprogram that when you've been brought up needing to like achieve all the time. Everything's goal based, isn't it? And salary based, and I need to have this, and I need to go on these holidays. I need my hair to be done. I need my nails to be done. It's just it's all a bit ridiculous, really.
It is. Yeah.
The deprogramming part of it's really tricky.
It is, and she also says that we're not going to solve it, but this is part of it. This is a piece of the puzzle. But I even when I was working in an office and working in like the corporate world, I still took my hour lunch, and I only really worked my hours, and I didn't progress in ways that I could have done otherwise had I like really burnt myself out and made myself really poorly. And that's the other side of it, isn't it? Is the system doesn't care about us, they just care about profit. But we pay the price with our health. And actually her father did pass away. He had like 2 full-time jobs and was a father, and his life was shortened by multiple health issues, and it's because of the life that he led, and he was so busy. But he did wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning just to read the paper and to read the Bible. He was an assistant preacher, so religion, being at church, was a huge part of their life. And she would ask him like, oh, why don't you just get up at 6 and then go to work? But that was his time for himself. That was his only time. So he would get up at 4, he would read the Bible, read the paper, and that was his time to like connect to himself. And then he would go and do his day. Facing like racism at work. I think he was like the only supervisor in this like yard that he worked at. But she also talked about church in a really lovely way, and actually how for their community, all of the businesses that support the church were black, and there was a real kind of safe haven for them, which is really beautiful. But she really speaks to our individual divinity, which I really relate to. As someone who's practicing witchcraft, I really see like we all have divinity within us. It's not just up kind of in the heavens. And she speaks about rest as being this portal, like a portal for change. And so although she doesn't out and out talk about her faith and the structure of that, it's very open to witches, to connecting to the message. And I've been going back to it recently, listening to the audiobook, and I'm picking up on so many more messages than when I listened to it first time, because I'm not as burnt out as the last time. I've actually had time to rest and to recover. It's not a perfect path that I've been on. I don't think that exists really.
So are you recently fully freelance, or when did you come out of
it was
full-time job?
My last day was at the very end of July last year, and the Monday was Lammas. It was 1st of August, so it was from then I've been self-employed.
And how's that feel?
Really nice. Even when I'm wait for that bus to go by, even when I'm not 100% about what money's coming in or what exactly I should be doing, I just feel a lot healthier. And I get to meet so many other self-employed people. I do a lot of markets around the area, and everyone's so much happier, and some of them are building up their businesses so that they can also go self-employed. It's actually a really great city.
And I know like a community-based life then.
Fully, which is very enjoyable. And I do rest a lot more. I definitely am more in tune with my cycle than I was before. I really noticed that shift, especially from ovulation into luteal. I because before I was in this really set routine of work the same hours in the week. I felt really disconnected from my actual body. I kind of was aware of when my cycle was moving through different phases, but I feel it much more strongly. I feel a lot more in tune to my body. I'm able to eat more intuitively because I'm not just getting up and then not having time for breakfast and then just grabbing a pastry and a coffee and then spending all of my days making other people's lives a lot easier, living in Outlook. Towards the end of that July, I was I have spent years of my life in Outlook and looking at calendars, and that horrified me.
I really relate to what you're saying, because just before we started the podcast episode, I was explaining to Liz that I had chronic Lyme disease last year. I'm still in recovery from it, but my body forced me into a period of rest. And exactly what you're talking about, learning to sort of eat intuitively, eat really nourishing food. I was so much more just disconnected from the internet, wasn't I? I completely took myself away because I just needed to focus on my body and my mind to get better. But just sort of also going to bed earlier, just doing really nourishing things. I was taking myself to a janky sauna. I always say janky because it sounds really fancy and privileged, but it was like a £5 sauna, council run thing. It was really janky, but it worked. You've got a lot of inflammation in your body, but just learning to live in much more of a natural cycle rather than that sort of Monday to Friday work regime of
that's not built for a woman either.
Absolutely not. And when you're working in a really fast-paced environment as well, like I do with my day job, I just wasn't eating. I wasn't going to the toilet when I needed to go to the toilet. You just get so locked in.
Needs. Yeah.
You're I just need to get this work done. And I remember even my poor husband trying to talk to me. I'd be shut up! I've got to do this task. This is the most important thing right now. And now I'm just I can't believe that I spoke to him like that. He's the most important person in my life, and I'm shutting him down so that I can finish an email.
The 9 to 5 work routine was literally built around the men's hormonal cycle.
Sorry, was it men?
I'm shocked.
It actually was, because
just for men.
Men naturally are, the way their hormonal cycle works is that they have more energy in the morning. So that's why obviously we start really early.
Well, they rise with the sun.
Yeah,
if you get my drift, and then they're more attuned to
then you
literally.
finish obviously at 5, and then you have the evening to then rest.
It's really interesting because it's still seen as, if you get up later in the day, you're still seen as lazy.
Yeah.
Even though they're, like back in tribal times, you would have people doing shifts, so you'd have people that were naturally doing the night shifts, keeping people safe, like watching out, going hunting. And then you'd have the people that get up in the morning. Everyone had to be divided into what their natural cycle was, what their natural period of working was, I guess. And then at some point during capitalism, I'd imagine, it became that anyone that got up later was just lazy.
Yeah.
And it's just not true. Like, I know.
Call me lazy because I get up later and it feels really
same.
good.
We're not morning people.
But yeah, both of us are lazy. But I'm like a 10 p.m. creative peak person.
Same. And I think it's because all the things that I needed to do that day are done.
And quiet.
And then finally I have brain space to be like, and then things will drop in. So yeah, I know what you mean with that.
My poor husband's not on the normal man hormone thing, because his brain comes alive at like 4 p.m. He said, I feel like all the neurons are like connecting and lighting up at 4 p.m.
He's in a different time zone somewhere.
He's in a completely different time zone. He goes to like 4 a.m.
That's probably why, because his cycle's differently, because he goes to bed so late.
Who knows? It's a mystery, but it's just a really interesting observation, I think.
Yeah.
It just means that we're being forced to fit a cycle that doesn't work for us. I don't think it works to be doing a 40-hour week, Monday to Friday.
Absolutely not.
There has to be flexibility around like life admin, around illness, around grief, around all these other natural things that happen all day, every day.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, right, I'm not available for this 8 hours a day because I've got to write lots of emails.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
No. I overheard a woman in a cafe the other day saying about how she got a cleaner in and how it's not really made a difference because she still has to do everything else around the house and with her job and everything. And it's really hard. And it's a shame that we live in kind of just outside of communal living. I know, like, kind of this idea of communal living has become like the pipe dream, but actually that was how things were originally. Imagine like just a couple of people to clean and a couple of people to cook every day and like share all of the labor. But yeah, we have so much labor to take on, even if you don't have children.
Totally.
It's very tricky.
I'm so up for communal living. Like,
I know.
I love that there was something up on in the news not that long ago about these older ladies. They're all in like their 80s, 70s and 80s, and they had decided to live communally, and they were like growing things in their garden, and one person was cooking, one person was washing, and I was like, oh, that's so lovely. I really love it.
Yeah,
I'd love to do that with my sisters or
yeah.
So what was the book called? It was
Rest is Resistance by Trisha Hersey.
Okay, sounds like a really good book.
I think we probably all need to read that.
She is incredible. Yeah, and I really have just touched the surface of it. But yeah, just. And like I say, rest every day in your own way is going to look really different. It's about experimenting.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how much money you've got, what community you're from. Rest is everyone's divine right.
Love it. Love that. What books have you bought for us today, Tony?
Oh, I feel like you should go first.
Okay, well, it's me. I have brought Welsh Witchcraft by, probably going to say her name wrong, Mara Starling. That's right.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, perfect.
They're amazing.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
Got a name right. So you're probably thinking, Steph, why have you picked up a book on Welsh witchcraft when you're always talking about Malta all the time and how you're Maltese? But actually, my paternal ancestry is from Wales, so I thought it would be interesting to explore that sort of other side of my ancestry as well. So
I've got Welsh ancestry as well.
Have you?
From Monmouthshire.
Have you read the book?
I haven't. I'll wait and hear your review.
So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this book actually. Lots of different, lots of things in here. Lots of things.
It is a book.
It is a book. I've got some notes actually. So in yeah, so there's lots of ideas. This is not the right book notes. That's why. That's
that looks like an essay.
What have you written here? Yeah, so I loved her perspective on labels. So she goes into talking about kind of, obviously everyone's got their, I'm a green witch, I'm a ancestral witch,
or like kitchen witch, yeah, kind of thing. I
Yeah.
think I'm an emotional witch. I don't know if that's a thing, but I feel like
I love
something
that.
to say.
I'm a shamble witch.
Definitely an emotional witch. But I love that she talks about really knowing yourself and really working with what resonates with you. And sometimes that doesn't necessarily come with labeling yourself, but if it feels right for you to do that, then if that's what you identify with doing, then that's amazing. So I really, really like that perspective. And she gives actually a few journal prompts in the book as well, so you can kind of sit down and really kind of get in tune with really what resonates with you.
I do love a good journal prompt. Really help you just dig a bit deeper and to really connect.
I'm a huge journaling fiend. So yeah. Interesting also that there are a few different words in Welsh that mean witch.
Are there?
Yeah, I'm not going to try and pronounce any of them.
Go on.
Right. But they have like different associations, and one of them has a really negative association. So
which one's that one?
I'm not going to try and say it.
Oh, okay.
I'd have to try and find it in the book as well because I haven't written it down.
I should call my friend Sophie. She's Welsh.
Let's call her
she'll
now.
get it.
Right, Sophie.
Please tell me how to pronounce it.
Why is it negative?
I think obviously to do with all the witch trials and all of that sort of thing, there was like a negative association with obviously a witch being evil, and then there's like other words that obviously mean like healer or wise woman, and
okay,
sure,
that's how it translates basically.
So
that was kind of interesting that there's those different words. She also goes through a lot of Welsh history in the book and talks about the witch trials, and actually interestingly the Wales was relatively untouched by the executions and people being accused of witchcraft.
That's wild, actually.
So I think there was obviously a few, but what was interesting is she talked a lot about how in Wales they are really into the Fae.
Yeah.
So,
well, Mickey isn't she?
Yeah.
Shout out Liminal Witch.
Yeah, we love you. Really into the Fae, and so obviously in England everything would get, anything bad that went wrong, it would get blamed on witchcraft, but in Wales they would blame the Fae. So that's maybe a reason why there wasn't so many accusations.
Those tricksters.
Yeah,
good for something at least.
Yeah, so
I really like the Irish Fae as well, because what's that horror film called? Is it called The Howling or Harrowing or something like that? And the Fae are literally in the woods, and they come and they steal the babies. But it's like an actual folk story. It's not like, wasn't made up for the horror.
Isn't that why we have middle names as well? As because if you told the Fae your full name, and then it was like a contract, and they owned you. So one of the reasons apparently why we have middle names is so it's like it's protection against the Fae.
I love that. And also I don't have a middle name, so that's a problem.
You should get one.
You do have a middle name, don't you?
No, that's my first name.
What?
I know, that's my first name is Tony Amanda.
Oh right, so it's like a double.
It's double barreled, and now my surname is double barreled.
Oh god, that's
so
confusing.
Like a
Just a double barreled human. Another reason she says is that charmers and diviners were also very respected in their local communities.
We're in the wrong
I know, let's
nation.
All move to Wales. So yeah, I found that really fascinating. She dives into a lot about that, and talks about the different folk practices in Wales, the land, mythology, fairy tales. Goes into detail on the different Welsh Fae and deities and things like that. She made an interesting point about deities, how people perceive them in different ways. which was quite an interesting perspective. So some people might view deities as like archetypes or divine beings, or personifications of natural events.
Well, we've discussed that before.
Yeah,
when we said about energy, bad and good energy.
Yeah, so I feel like I haven't quite worked out my feelings or how I feel about deities yet. And
I feel
like
the same actually.
Yeah. So that's what I was going to ask you guys. Like, how do you feel about deities?
Well, like we just spoke about, I feel like they represent different parts of nature. So they are a little bit like archetypes to me, but not like personality archetypes. Like
more like nature representatives.
Yeah, definitely.
Rather than like a divine being sitting above in the sky.
Well, you know that I'm very elemental, so you know when we're by a river or by a big rock or whatever, I'm just like, oh, we're with the water spirits or with the air spirits. I speak like that all the time, and I feel the same way about the deities. I feel like they're kind of all one and the same. I don't necessarily connect with the idea of these like mythical or fantasy kind of gods and goddesses, and that doesn't resonate for me.
I feel the same. I did work with Hecate a few years ago, and I had heard that you should be boundaried with her, and I wasn't, and I feel like there was just a bit of a transformative fire that just burned through my life, and it was a bit of a wild ride, but I'm really glad for it. But it made me wary of working with deities. But she is a dark goddess.
Don't we know it? Moon.
But they have in Wales, it's Ceridwen. She's like another good dark goddess.
Yeah,
and we've got the Bristol Goddess Temple in Bristol, and I went to one of their dark moon rituals, and we worked with Ceridwen. And she's very there's similar attributes to Hecate, but with that kind of Welsh punch to it as well. But yeah, so dark goddess of transformation. There is
I saw you have got
we've got keeping her keys.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have any. We have had Marla's book in, but I don't know if we have anything in at the moment about dark goddesses in particular. But
there's also Hecate's Garden as well, isn't there? That's quite a good
really
book.
good. Yeah, that's really good.
I think we were up against Mara in the Kindred Spirit Awards.
Yeah.
And I was terrified because
I was like, Mara's
amazing.
I mean, she's really up and coming. In the big
social
way.
media is
I love her Instagram.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
She cracks me up.
Really funny.
Like when she's like popping out of the rock and be like, hello. So
I mean, to be fair,
follow Mara.
We were rooting for you.
Yeah.
Definitely follow Mara on Instagram.
She's been doing a lot of talks and going to lots of events and being a like keynote speaker and all sorts. So she was at one of the Glastonbury witches conference earlier this year. And I couldn't make it, but I think she was one of the keynote speakers, which is phenomenal.
Such a good speaker. That makes sense to me.
But you're right. She's funny, is accessible, but like down to earth. But also she obviously has great wisdom and has done really
absolutely. I mean, she talks. What I like about this book is she talks a lot about her story, and then goes into factual information that she's found about Welsh witchcraft, and she does repeat constantly throughout the book that she is not claiming that any of this is like ancient practice, which I think is really good and refreshing as well, because you do get a lot of books that are claiming things to be ancient practice.
I have my toxic trait is liking those books.
I know, you're like, ooh, ancient practice.
It must have been part of my ancestors.
But then she also offers like ritual, like her own personal rituals in the book as well, which is, so there's a really good balance of like personal story information and then ritual. It's really good. I really loved her view on collecting stones and plants locally rather than buying stones. I really
that's another toxic trait of mine, is constantly picking up stones and putting them in my pocket and then having to put stuff in the washing machine and they're just like rattling around.
Can I grab something from my bag really quickly?
No, it's how dare you. Of course you can. Is it going to be rocks? Oh, spoiler alert. Sorry.
I've been doing some gardening at home. I got some gravel around like kind of the main path bit, and I've never found a hagstone before, but I found this hagstone and he's got a grumpy face. How cool is that?
That's amazing. Also, that's quite rare. Sorry, and that's quite rare for your garden as well. Like, rather
and there's
than,
no other stones like that. But I felt like.
Shall I be lucky the influencer?
You're famous
That's so
now.
awesome. I love that. Thank you for sharing.
I'll keep him out actually. Wants to be here.
But she's totally right though. There's something so special about finding your own stones. And then it connects you with the land wherever you are. I've got loads of stones obviously from Malta. Wasn't allowed to mention Malta again. There's a thing because I mention it so much because it's something that really resonates with me obviously.
She has to put $1 in the jar now.
Yeah, I've got to put $1 in the jar. What was the word that you're not allowed to say? I can't remember.
There aren't any words I'm allowed to say.
Yeah, whatever. But I think she has also just released another book called Welsh Fairies as well. So if you're into fae, is another good book to explore. But yeah, that was my book, Welsh Witchcraft by Mara Starling. Great book to pick up. And it's your turn now.
Okay.
What books have you brought?
I've brought quite an interesting selection today. I normally go quite heavy. The first one's a little bit heavier. And to be fair, I've only just started this one, which I bought because I saw that you sold it here. So that was one of those things. It's called Spirits Come From the Water by Ehemi Ora. I hope that I'm pronouncing that right. I did actually look up the pronunciation earlier because I was worried about saying it wrong. I probably still butchered it. And it's an introduction to ancestral veneration and reclaiming African spiritual practices. You'll know very well that I love ancestral practice. It's what I'm really excited by. It runs through all of the work that I do, dream communion, tarot reading, and even through our sound healing work. But I carry a lot of shame and guilt around being descendant of colonizers, basically. So, I think it's really important that we hear from indigenous witches, indigenous spiritual people, and we hear their story, because a lot of our practices that we do today are not our own, and it's important to understand where they come from and not to appropriate. So I picked up this book thinking it would be super interesting, which it is. It feels like something that is more than just a practical guide. It feels like something that you can really absorb. She offers spell work, poetry, a lot of ancestral wisdom. I mean, the poetry is just beautiful. I did actually fold a page to share with you. So this was called The Bolt. I am a storm born from the first lightning strike, with broad shoulders strong enough to carry the legacy of the ancestors. Features sculpted from brown clay, a terracotta sealed in fire, a sharp ceramic handcrafted by the unseen, fine china created from metal, forged from iron. I am the blacksmith's favorite commission. I don't want to read it too much because it's really beautiful and you really should read it yourself, but just such deeply connecting poetry, I think. And it feels both sort of devotional and deeply embodied to me. So even just sort of like skimming through the pages, you're met with the pulse of like dysphoria, memory, of ritual, and water as a sort of like living presence. I think that the more I get into my practice, the more elemental it gets, and the more I sort of just feel deeply connected with that part of my practice. I feel like walking around like everything's so amazing all the time, just really feeling deeply connected with nature. The key themes of this book are obviously ancestral connection. It sort of underscores the significance of like reconnecting with our ancestors and suggesting that those connections can lead to like real radical healing. It's kind of what we do when we do our sound baths. We try and take people on a journey and help them connect with their ancestors or their spirit guides, and really process that sort of stagnant energy in the body, that stagnant trauma. So I think ancestral work is so important. It's also just important from a context point of view. I think a lot of the time when we're triggered by stuff, there's always a root, and that root tends to stem from our childhood. It tends to come from core wounds that were developed in those very early years. And, they're still manifesting later in life because we do not live in a society that teaches us how to deal with these issues and these feelings. We're probably all doing the work now.
Well, my whole practice was really built on that. I won't go into loads of detail, but my childhood and my caregivers were very probably on the psychopath like level. They were not kind.
I'm sorry, that's terrible.
Thank you. I've been through a lot of therapy, and it's fully the reason why I'm on the path I'm on. It's kind of why I said I was like an emotional witch. I've had to sit with a lot of really big feelings. But it's ancestral, right? Because that wasn't just like a one-off, that was passed down, and to hold that and to feel it is really intense. But there's so much power in that as well, to kind of break through, and there is no one way to do it, like you were saying, and like
many ways to do it, and also different things connect with different people, don't they?
Fully,
but I'm similar to you. I'm on this path for the same reason. One of my parents was very narcissistic. The other one was emotionally unavailable. They had a horrific divorce. And then sort of like those developmental years led into a very, very abusive relationship with a man for several years. And finding this path has just been processing all of that. I mean, even my one of my sisters is going through a really hard time at the moment with her ex-partner. And it's bringing up a lot of those old wounds. And in a way, it's very, very painful, because we're all reliving it. I have 3 sisters, so we're all reliving that pain through her lens. But equally, it's really healing, because it's helping us process stuff that we haven't processed from the past. And also we're recognizing the sort of the patterns of behavior that have run through the whole matriarchal line. You know, my lovely elder sister was talking to me. Sorry, some Zoomies outside. She was talking to me about how our great-grandmother, great-grandma Taylor, she was a death witch, and she very openly spoke to the dead, which is quite unusual for that time, to be so open about that. But, you know, she had 10 children, and then her husband died of Spanish influenza.
Oh my gosh.
So she had to be a really hard woman, you know, and so they wanted I don't know if it was social services or the system, they wanted to put all the children into an orphanage because they said that she couldn't handle it. And being the sort of like steel woman that she was, the iron woman or whatever, she was like, I will look after all my children, you know, which made her really tough and really fierce and like kind of a little bit scary. And that's kind of passed down, you know, that burden almost, that burden and trauma has passed down through, I think it's epigenetics, is it? Is that what it's called? Intergenerational trauma is, I think, epigenetics. Someone's going to correct me in the comments.
Probably. I've not heard of that term, actually.
So, you know, when we talk about DNA-based trauma, I think that's the part of it's not actually your DNA, it's your epigenetics. I don't even know if I'm saying that word
I know
properly.
Your amygdala is like, very affected, and that can be passed down.
But it's all context, isn't it? Contextually, you're taking on these traumas from the past, and they're living in our cells and in our you know, in our bodies, in our systems, in our water, you know, and if you don't process them, they just get bigger and badder, and you know,
even like things like phobias can be passed down through generations.
Absolutely.
And like, I can't remember which way around it is, but it's I think if you're scared of heights, it's because your ancestors would have lived really high up, and if you're not scared of heights, you probably kind of come from the flatlands, and so you don't know to be scared. I think it's that way around. Again, someone might correct me, but
I also think, you know, trauma can change that, because I mean, I grew up climbing trees. We had these huge big trees in our garden, and when we were little, me and my little sister would climb up to the top, and we'd get stuck and we'd go, Granddad, help us. Like, my poor Granddad would climb up the tree and like bring us down. And
I bet he loved it though.
He did. And he kept like coming up after us, and you know, until we got really good at climbing trees. And then all this sort of trauma that happens in your life tends to bring your comfort zone barriers, whatever you want to call it, it comes closer in, doesn't it? And you know, when I went through my really bad phase with my ex, I then was like afraid of heights, I was afraid of being in hospitals, I was afraid of like spiders, you know, you suddenly just become so heightened, overstimulated. That's not the right word. You're in fight or flight all the time, so you're just very reactive to things.
I've been through big phases of that, feeling very like raw and very vulnerable and very exposed.
Totally.
But yeah, in time it definitely gets easier. But I mean, even now there'll be stuff that comes up and I'm like, okay, this is like another layer. But it's grief
layer
as well.
Of the onion.
Yeah, and it's
are we in Shrek?
We're in Shrek. Maybe he's part of the Fae.
Onion Fae.
Like shedding layers, like a snake, like an onion.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful book anyway. It's also about reclaiming ancient African practices, and she discusses the spiritual renaissance occurring within the African community, sort of like emphasizing the importance of like reclaiming those traditional practices as like an act of liberation. Africa is one of the countries where people are still killed for witchcraft, and it's obviously a complete tragedy. It's awful, it's horrific, and I'm sure that we'll talk about it in another episode sometime. But the fact that there are so many traditional spiritual practices that are so important to the culture, and yet people are still getting killed for it, like it's the practices about maleficent spirits, and it's just not. And then lastly, just practical guidance as well. Similar to what you were saying about Mara's book is. There's actually it's a very good instruction manual almost for like how to do these practices. It offers sort of tangible spiritual tools, like including sort of setting up and working with an ancestral altar, which is, I use one all the time. It's really important to me. I like to make sure that I see my ancestors every day when I'm working. So they're in my thoughts. Because particularly in this culture in England, people die and we just forget about them. We don't even tend to their graves. They're dead and gone, Whereas I think that, in lots of other cultures, I was reading actually about a culture the other day that used to bury the dead underneath the floorboards so that they felt their presence in their, like their See, I love it. I think it's so romantic in a sort of like
we know that you're gonna start burying all of us.
If you die, you'll be buried under my floorboards.
Can I please bury her under my floorboards?
I will.
But it's like what I was saying in a post I literally put up the other day about graveyards and how when you're actually walking around them, and like often, we went to one the other day and we're walk round and we'll be reading the names of people out loud, and
that seems so important, doesn't it?
Yeah, because those gravestones would have been sat there for years and years and years with no one coming to visit them and no one saying their names out loud.
I think it feels very important. Like I really loved that we were doing that. We were walking around and we were reading people's epitaphs and
I always like to do a litter pick when I'm in a graveyard as well, just as a little offering of just like Definitely. There's some big cedar trees in a local graveyard that I always go and visit, which are very nice and grounding. But there's a lot of very forgotten graves. It's a shame. We're not very good at, we haven't really been taught how to deal with death in this country very well.
You're talking my language now, because I'm Death Witch, That's literally, my whole passion is about people embracing death as it not being scary or sad, but it just being a natural part of the cycle. I think also there's the archetype of the forgotten or the outcast, and to go around a graveyard and to try and find ways to honour the people that lost their lives too soon or in real tragic circumstances. But also, those just shunned to the, the edges of society. It's really tricky, but there's a big wave at the moment of people going around and cleaning graveyards, cleaning gravestones, of like lichen and anything that's kind of like destructive to the stone. And I think that's a really beautiful thing to do, as long as you're not using harsh chemicals, because they're not for me. But she also touches on spiritual hygiene, which is so important. And I don't know why I'm bringing this up now, but it just come into my head about someone told me once that you should not have your altar in your bedroom. And I never thought about that before. And I've had mine in my bedroom forever. And I'm also someone that has real problems with sleep paralysis, or what I like to call psychic attack, essentially. And it's because when your altar is in your bedroom, you have much more spiritual activity around it. And so, yes, that just popped into my head. So around the idea of spiritual hygiene, don't be like me. Put your altar in a space away from your bed so that you can sleep peacefully. Anyway, I think this is a really beautiful book. I haven't finished it yet, I'm going to be honest. I've only just started. It's a brand new book to me, but so far I'm finding it really beautiful. I'm seeing the connections between practices that we have here and them almost definitely stemming from African culture. I think that it's definitely one that you should add to your collection. That was not a great outro, but it wasn't smooth. But a good start.
What is your next book?
Oh yeah, it's The Inner Tarot by can't even speak. The Inner Tarot by Kate Von Horn. And again, it's one that I'm only a couple of chapters into, but I feel like learning to
just let that pass.
You might see a rainbow soon with the sun coming out now.
Full spectrum of weather going on today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I have seen 78 Degrees of Wisdom on the table, which is obviously an absolute a must read.
I've only just started reading it, so
I'm very excited. And yeah, I guess with being a tarot reader, like the learning is never done. It is a lifelong endeavour. And so yeah, I picked up the Inner Tarot a little while ago, and I'm only a couple of chapters in recently, but I'm really enjoying it so far. I like the way that she spoke about reversed cards, and kind of seeing how the energy is it's like blocked or a bit stagnant. And so a lot of the time when I'm in my readings and we're getting like a lot of reversals, it's similar. I'm trying to think about how we can get that card the right way up to get the energy flowing.
I've never really thought about it like that. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I think it depends on the card, but a lot of the time I do see it as the energy is just a bit like, just a bit blocked somewhere. And my clients seem to really resonate with them when I'm reading them in that way. But when I first started, just to go off on a bit of a tangent about reverse readings, when I was first self-employed kind of quite early on, I wasn't that confident with reverse readings. And I would just sometimes say, I'm just going to Google this in front of my clients, and like no one had any issue, which is very good. But I just felt like I'd rather Google it and just double check than make something up and then make a mistake and mislead someone.
Being humble's like a connecting thing as well, isn't it? Rather than just pretending to, for ego's sake, pretending you know what's going on. Because then
it would just feel really icky. The energy would be really wrong. But I think because I had felt a bit stagnant more so recently with my readings, but I'd also been away for a couple of weeks, and I've not been. But like when I'm really in it and I'm channeling all the time and the energy boundaries are really clear because I've been away. When I'm not a tarot reader, I am a roadie, and I was on.
Are you?
And I was on the road with a band doing like rock shows for kids, which is
cool.
Which is wild and very different energy. So, but with this kind of Pluto Aquarius retrograde, I'm like, let's dive in deeper again, and because there's always stuff to learn with tarot. So, I'm only new into it. But so far really enjoying it.
Does it sort of dive into each card or?
Yeah, and it talks about there's like, hang on, let's pull up one. So we're talking about, I've just got up to the point where we're talking about the suit of pentacles. So I think that she goes into it, I guess, in quite a structured way. So talk about the suits, and then like the pages, for example, the kind of groups of the royal cards, as well as like on an individual level, I think. And there's like deeper connections to the card, there's meanings, and then there's like how it kind of shows up in her own voice for her as well. So there's lots of different layers to explore with each card. So yeah, I'm excited to polish off some kind of info about tarot.
Yeah, there's also a brand new book out at the moment. I think it's called like Wild Tarot, and it's a similar sort of layout inside, in that you get the little card, and then it's very straight talking.
I think that's what you need. That's what I need. That's what
really straight talking. But I'd say it's an excellent sort of like beginner book for someone who wants to learn how to read their own tarot. I'm pretty sure it's called Wild Tarot. It's got like a purpley blue cover.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen that one, actually.
It's new, yeah.
The reason why I haven't even really started reading this yet, but I thought I'd bring it along because it's really highly reviewed as basically being the Bible of tarot.
Absolutely.
Have you read it?
Yeah. Rachel Pollack, tarot master, like incredible woman.
She's actually made her own deck as well, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Her own tarot deck. But yeah, so it's 78 Degrees of Wisdom by Rachel Pollack. And I just sort of picked it up because apparently like people were saying it's like changed their whole perspective on tarot.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, can I take that with me? So yeah, I thought that sounds like a really interesting kind of, because I'm kind of feeling a little bit disconnected from tarot at the moment.
Well, you haven't found your deck yet, have you?
I really haven't.
Yeah.
And
that's really important. I mean, my practice changed the moment I found the deck that was like,
this is the one. Me, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you've got the same one as me, haven't you?
I do, yeah. And the only reason I can't seem to really get on with like more pip based decks. I like the
they're not my favourite either.
No.
I do use the classic like Raider White Smith. That's the first deck I bought. Actually, I have a bit of a funny story about why I first got my cards, actually. If you'd like to hear it.
I was like,
we're like, put down. So I was in a phase of my life, I think mid-20s, where I'm battling with a lot of the kind of my childhood stuff that I talked about earlier, but was also really open to exploring like witchcraft, and I think I've always known that there's been like a calling, and my friend had already introduced me to tarot, so I kind of worked through my skepticism already a little bit. I used to have this thing where I would have really vivid dreams, and I'd wake up and I had a really strong statement would pop into my head, completely different to what I was dreaming. It was really disjointed. But one day I woke up and in my head I just said I should get tarot cards really loudly, and all of my bed springs went doing 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 doing.
That's so weird.
Which would normally freak me out, but I think because I was in that half awake, half sleep state, I was just like, all right. And I'm living in Manchester at the time, and I didn't even know where to get tarot cards from. Like now you can walk into anywhere and get cards, but I knew of a shop in Liverpool. So at the weekend, I went to Liverpool by myself and went to this shop, and I asked for a deck of cards, and they weren't even like out and about. Like the lady got a deck from behind, like from the back.
Oh, you got like a VIP
and that
deck.
that was like just over 10 years ago, and like it's wild to think that in that short space of time, like I'll just hear people walking down the street being like, oh, I was doing some tarot last night and I got this card.
It's very sort of like
and I love
modern,
it.
like popular culture
It's
now.
amazing.
It's brilliant.
It's amazing. It's such a powerful tool. But yeah, some decks you don't quite gel with, and others you're just like, it just feels fully in flow.
I still feel like I haven't found mine at all.
You'll find it. You'll find it.
We'll see.
Or you'll make it.
Yeah. So I thought I'd just bring that along anyway, because I thought it was an interesting.
You haven't even broken the spine on that.
No, I haven't. It's also very dense for me.
Yeah, it's
a very dense book.
It's a chewy one, but you can take your time with it as well. I feel like there's such strong messages coming through. Sometimes I'll read a chapter and be like, I just need a minute, and like
need to think about that. Yeah.
I think you should take like a card a day, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
like, I'm going to look at this one card
that in the book to go through it.
And there's people that like live through the whole, they live through the whole deck, so they'll go a period of time living as the hermit, and then they'll go a period of time as the empress or whatever, and it will represent these different periods of your life.
Also sometimes I think cards just come for you, like
that bloody tower, it just comes to you sometimes.
But enjoy it honestly, but take your time, because it's not, I feel like sometimes I'll read for people and they're really hard on themselves, like they don't know tarot inside out. I'm like, I didn't either when I started, and I still don't know everything.
Cards.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
It's a lifelong journey.
Exactly,
so enjoy it, but don't put pressure on, don't put pressure on yourself to like know it all, and for it all to like distill down. It'll take time. I'm still, there's still a couple of cards I'm like, you're like, I'm just not quite cracked you fully yet. So no,
it's interesting. I definitely agree with you. I see it like that as more of like a learning journey, and something that's gonna come over a long period of time of reading.
But also it also might not be your divination practice, because you love working with a pendulum.
Yeah,
true. And you've always connected a lot with one. I don't think we all need to read tarot. I mean, I certainly never thought I'd read it.
I also really interested in tassomancy as well.
Oh yeah.
So that's something you do here.
Yes. Yeah. So one thing I did get from my mum, one of the last times I saw her, is some teacups that belonged to someone in my family. I think it was a great aunt on my mum's dad's side. I think it's a great aunt, I'm not sure, I don't know her name, but I've got these teacups and they've been speaking very loudly to me for a while, like read me, put tea in me. And they're not here actually. I've taken them home so I can spend a bit more time with them. So yeah, I guess I have this like ancestry with tea leaf reading. I just know that these cups have been used for that.
That's amazing.
They're really beautiful. And I've started doing readings here, but it's really something that I'm also just exploring in my own time. But I would love to write a book, not about how to read tea leaves or coffee grounds, because there's already books like that out there. But what I've realised from talking to people is there's a treasure trove of stories to be told, whether that's someone's grandma or aunt. There's also something around, obviously tarot is very much associated with like witchcraft, and that can be quite scary. But if you think about in Turkey, for example, it's a very Muslim country, but reading coffee grounds is a huge part of their culture. And
same in Italy as well.
Yeah.
Coffee grounds.
Yeah, and you can read like hot chocolate and things like that. And there's another tarot reader in Bristol. She was known as Mahala Honey, but she's just changed her name to, I think it's Arcana and she was known as Mahala Honey. That's her singer handle, but she's got another tarot, Arcana and Arcade, I think is that. She's just changed it recently. But she had, I think her grandmother's like big women, would go to church every Sunday, and part of their ritual, and I guess as part of their rest as well, they'd put their teacups on their breasts, and they would read the tea leaves every day, every week, and like have their like check in. And so yeah, I
love that.
There's lots of stories to be told, and so I'd love to gather some.
Yeah, definitely write that book.
Yeah, fun.
I was just thinking actually, after you said that you picked up your ancestral teacups, I literally just picked up a whole like old wooden box that belonged to my great grandfather, filled with his collection of cigarette cards.
Ooh.
And I was like, I could use this as a divination box.
You totally could.
So yeah, that's something I'm exploring at the moment.
That's exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Right, let's move on to my next book. I brought with me The Green Witch's Garden by Aaron Murphy Hiscock, who is the author of The Green Witch, which lots of people probably read that book because it's quite popular. I thought I'd bring this one in today because we're at that time of year at the moment where people are thinking about their gardens, basically, because we're coming into summer, growing season. And yeah, it's a really interesting book, and I love that she just gives ideas and doesn't necessarily tell you exactly what to do. So she's not saying this is how to do your Green Witch's garden, basically. She's giving you loads of different ideas of how you could have your garden for all different practices. I don't think this really just applies to Green Witches. It could be for any practice. Which is really cool. She talks about your spiritual garden being a reflection of you, and almost like tending to it like it's a reflection of your self-care for yourself, which I really liked that. Yeah, she's got lots of different rituals in here. There's like a little elemental ritual, which is quite cute, where you connect with different elements. Because she does talk about all of the different elements being part of the garden. So yeah, really interesting. Also, you'll love this, recognizing the life and death cycle of a garden. So composting is so important. And that
Gotta encourage bugs to help break stuff down.
Yeah, exactly. So like the death cycle being just as important as the life cycle of everything being fully in bloom and beautiful. The death cycle is also so important, which is kind of
necessary.
Like,
and it's like nourishment to the soil.
Yeah, and part of our whole life, really, like, going through spring, summer, autumn, winter. There's all those different cycles, and it's the same with the garden, obviously. So yeah, same with the garden. She talks of she talks about even fallen logs and how mushrooms grow on them. So like dying parts of the tree, you're getting new life out of that, which I think is just a really beautiful way of looking at it, really.
Mushrooms are fascinating anyway, aren't they?
Yeah.
With it, yeah.
Maybe they're part of the Fae.
Ooh! You heard it here first. Yeah, that's an interesting thought.
It just popped into my head.
Yeah. They are magic. I'm convinced they're magic.
What, mushrooms?
Yeah.
They can be.
Not just magic mushrooms, but just mycelium in general, like in the way that the spores like float and
and their little underground network,
and that they grow where humans inhabit because they know that we need them.
Yeah, definitely. The other thing I think is really, really cool about this book is that she talks about working with one plant spirit at a time. And I know that in the past, I've made this mistake with starting up a garden and being like, I'm going to get all of these different seeds and then have lots of different things to like focus on. And then
they all have different watering times and tending needs.
Yeah. And then you get really confused and then nothing survives because you don't know what's going on and where you're at. Yeah. But I love the idea of focusing on one plant, really getting to know that plant, everything about it, really learning and feeling the spirit of the plant. And then that really helps you learn and grow with your garden. But she also talks about, you don't necessarily have to have a green thumb to have your witch's garden either. And talks about all the different kinds of gardens that may resonate with the different practices. So, if you're a kitchen witch, you might want to grow vegetables and food. Yeah.
If you're a tea witch, you might want to have chamomile and lavender.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a lunar witch, you may want to just have a beautiful nighttime garden that comes to life at night.
You might like to have black plants.
So yeah, there's something in here for every kind of witchcraft path. It is really good. She also talks about different ideas for different gardens as well. So if you don't have access to having your own garden, and if you live in a flat or you just don't have a garden, she talks about community gardens and guerrilla gardening, which I'd never heard of.
Guerrilla gardening.
Guerrilla.
Is that where you like seed bomb like random verges?
Pow! Yeah.
It's when you.
No, wait. I want to guess.
Go on then.
Guerrilla gardening. In my head, it's like you're secretly going out and no one can see you and you're planting things on other people's gardens.
That's exactly it.
Is it?
Yeah. So what's interesting though?
That's hilarious.
So you're claiming a bit of space that isn't yours essentially and gardening on it. But, and she talks about how it's kind of liminal because you don't know how long you're going to have that garden.
That's really cool and really fun.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, that you actually got it right.
Well, it's just the image of someone like being like, I'm going to buy this plant, I'm going to put it in
this weird garden.
I'm just like balaclava on and go, drop and roll. And
do you know what? If someone started putting plants in I'd just be like, amazing.
Sad, would you?
I'd be like, welcome. Like, yeah.
So
maybe they're the Fae, the guerrilla gardeners.
I was thinking, maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting to think about, like, where could we plant our guerrilla garden here in the UK? But I suppose you could probably do it in like
Turbo Island
in Bristol.
The magical triangle.
It needs it, to be fair.
Yeah, it needs some
grounding.
Needs some love.
I think it's very loved, but it doesn't look it.
Oh yeah. No. It's loved, but it needs some grounding.
Yeah.
She talks a lot about planning your garden and what I said, really thinking about your personal practice and how your garden's gonna work for you and your practice, really. But yeah, it's a really great book for a beginner. Goes through lots of different gardening tools and things like that, and encourages you to start a garden journal. So having a little journal for your garden. So I think also to kind of take note of what's working and what's not, because I mean, I wouldn't say that I have a massive green thumb, really. And I'm terrible.
You've got a lot of snake plants.
Yeah, well, that's Stevie over there. You've got loads of snake plants, but the snake plant just keeps having more snake plant babies. So it just keeps it's like you with your aloe vera.
I know, I've got an aloe vera problem.
Yeah. But yeah,
she also bring them here. We've got lots of plants that have been added.
I'd just love to reproduce.
Yeah, we'll bring you a snake plant.
Thank you.
And yeah, she goes through like magical associations for flowers, herbs, vegetables, and trees. So
vegetables,
much.
That's quite cool. You don't often see that.
No, normally it's herbs. Really. And sorry, just checking my notes. Interesting section on how to deal with. Interesting section about how to deal with the surprise plant. She calls them, not weeds. So surprise plant.
That's cute.
What I really loved about it was almost using the surprise plants as a reading, an omen. So if you got a surprise like dandelion somewhere in your right in the middle of your garden, you'd look up what dandelion means. I've got a UTI. Or I need to drink you. This is what I need to use. Do you want me to drink you? Like looking at it more of like an omen, good or bad. And a little reading with the plant.
Yeah, I love that. That's really cool.
Looking it up, and so I really love that. But yeah, really good book and a great book for this time of year. Green Witch's Garden by Aaron Murphy Hiscock.
Nice.
What's your next book?
Yeah, well, interestingly enough, you don't know this about me, but I'm very into heavy books, normally about ancestral work, trauma, grief, all of that kind of stuff. I never ever do beginner books, and I thought it'd be quite refreshing to have a change. And also I knew that you had this book in stock, but my second book is The Witch's Workshop, A Guide to Crafting Your Own Magical Tools by Melissa Jane Madara.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful book, and it is both really practical and extremely enchanting, I'd say. The photography is stunning. And a lot of my practice is about empowering people to create tools from nature. So not spending their money on plastic crap. That is actually, I'm very straight talking, aren't I? It doesn't end up in landfill, basically. You don't need any of that plastic stuff. You can pretty much use anything you find in nature, sticks, feathers, water from the river, the stream, the puddle, whatever you've got outside. And I think this book's lovely because it does empower you to do just that. It shows you about how to make things yourself. There is a lot of incense making, which is a little bit trickier because a lot of the ingredients in the incense section you wouldn't necessarily have at home, I'd say. But you can pretty much always substitute incense notes. Would you say notes? Incense ingredients for what you have in the house already. So you might have peppermint tea, you might have chamomile, you might have lavender, you might have bay or rosemary or something. You just have to dry it and then grind it down. And essentially you're mixing it with like water and coconut oil or beeswax or something. But a lot of the things in here. Let's have a look. So like botanical drawing charcoals. So you're making your own charcoals for your spiritual practice.
Oh, I like that.
Making your own ink. Tea ink as well.
Love it.
Yeah.
My friend makes broomsticks, Bristol Broomworks, and someone made ink from like the offcuts of the broom corn.
That's really
They burnt
cool.
it down and made it ink.
Into ash and
yeah. I can't remember the person who made the ink's handle, but yeah, Bristol Broomworks. She makes heritage broomsticks in the area.
I love natural inks actually. I make inks with ink cap mushrooms.
Perfect.
Because I'm really into death witchcraft. I actually my friend and I found ink cap mushrooms in a cemetery, so it had like a whole another sort of like sort of symbolism to it. But I also watched an amazing video which I think I shared with you on Instagram about someone who created artwork from charring down bones they'd found in nature.
Wow.
So they found these bones, they created an outside fire in a safe environment, and then they put the bones in I think what is like a fireproof tin, and they slowly charred the bones until they turned to black ash, and that became their sort of like their black paint powder. It's amazing. Wow. It was really cool, and again I think that's a really incredible thing to do. but also making like altar cloths, making your own paper.
Well, it's very crafty then.
It's very crafty, and the thing is in the coven that Steph runs and I often facilitate workshops in. I've somehow become like the craft person. Because
I don't know how that happened.
I don't know how
it's
it happened
like the
either.
WI but witchy.
Yeah, but I'm not very crafty. I like making things, but I'd say
your
that
workshops have all been awesome though.
Thank you. I pretty much go, we're doing this today. I'm not showing you how to do it because I don't know how to, but we're going to learn together. But we've done some really fun things. Like at the beginning of this year, we got clay and we made like spirit guides, made spirit totems. We've done, we've painted watercolor moons as well. And what else have we done?
You did the scrub.
The
scrub,
the stars,
the Victorian stars.
Oh yeah, around Yule, I guess we did like a paper lantern, Victorian lantern making. Yeah, I've done loads of crafting, but also normal things like, more regular things like spell bags and smoke bundles and those. We've done a rune set and so somehow I've become like the craft person. But I think what's lovely, me not being a crafter aside, is that
I think you are.
Well, not a good one. It's like a child bringing home being like, Mum, I've made you this. Like my poor husband's like, great, another weird thing to put in the house. And
On the fridge, like
the other day we did
Tony made earlier.
The other day we made maypoles, which was actually binding magic. So it was a maypole because it was the Athene, but we were like binding our intentions to this stick, and now I've got like the stick hanging in the window. Poor guy. Anyway, but what is nice about it is everyone carving out that time to do something with their hands and be playful and like be tactile and
so mindful.
Create as well. Like it doesn't have to be perfect or even good. It's just that hour to do something with your hands that is like relaxing, taking that
restful.
time.
We talked about rest earlier. Like it's a way to rest. Yeah,
I love it. It's not necessarily what I expected to be doing, but I do love it. I mean, we've managed to kind of bring in a bit more of my interest into the next one. In that was spooky. Oh, it's a dog. I thought that was like a man. Like
there probably will be a man barking at some point. It's crushed.
In the next one, we're talking about land honouring. So it'll be sort of about like, I guess like kind of like green activism as a form of witchcraft.
I love that.
Which is much more me. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, so this back to this book, it's filled with like hands-on rituals and potions and reflections. And it's just written in a really beautiful way. And the photography is just stunning as well. We find you.
That's beautiful.
For the group. Yeah. I mean, it's like it's almost like a laboratory for witches, this book.
Yeah. It does look awesome, actually. I think I might.
This is get me, I love making tinctures and stuff at home. And when you were talking about focusing on one plant, I really like a one plant tincture. So like I've got my regulars, I've got my dandelion root, I've got my cleavers that I make, and I've got my oregano, and I really like working with like just that one plant and letting it, is the word macerate for like 3 moon cycles. That's something that I like to do.
I do feel like I want to start focusing on really learning about one plant every month or something, and then just building up that knowledge. Yeah, because I find that it takes me a while for things to get into my brain.
But it's like the tarot card, really, isn't it?
Well,
how are you supposed to learn that many cards unless you
spend some time with each
card? Yeah, exactly. I think what's nice about this is also it's about self-initiation and it's about curiosity. We're pretty much always in coven mindset now. It's all about the collective and the community. But for some people, they really need that solitary practice. And actually, this can be a nice companion to coven work. So you've got the work that you're doing in the coven and all those workshops, but you've still got this piece that's for you. I don't really have a lot else to say about this book, but I just thought it was a nice thing to offer. Is the books that I normally read are really hardcore and they're quite deep and sometimes painful things to work through. This is not that. This is relaxing, crafting, a bit of time for yourself, and just some really beautiful photography. So if you're needing that, this is your book.
Is that our last book?
Well, I also just wanted to do a little shout out to Hellebore Zine, Bristol-based zine. I've been reading this since day one. I don't actually have this one, so I might have to buy it from you.
That's fine.
But it is a fantastic zine full of folklore, witchcraft, everything really, like old story or folklore are old stories, but help me. It's just fantastic.
Is there like occult information in there?
Yeah, they dip into lots of things really, but they've always got really cool like half-tone images. Like it's very stylized, you know.
Yeah, they are beautiful.
It always like really cool artwork. I don't want to like bend the spine or anything.
If you're buying it.
Well, yeah, exactly. Good point. For instance, this particular one, some of the things that they've got are the Wind, the Witch, and the Wendigo, Gallery and Healing Stones, an earthly history of the British gnome, the Stormbringers, solar power, and summoning the water serpent. It's every single zine is totally different, isn't it?
Massively, yeah.
And I think often, well, I mean, this is obviously a choice, but you know they've done it seasonally as well. So I remember like they had a beautiful one around Biathane, which was it had Nona Lemon's artwork on the front. I hope I pronounced that right. She's an amazing artist. I've got her incredible collection of. She did a book, you know, like a limited edition book of all her artwork, and it came in this gorgeous like folder. Nona Lemon, she's amazing, and she was on the front cover, and it was her sort of dancing around the maypole, but in a very spooky, witchy way. It's such a good zine. This is number 13, so that's an incredible achievement, as it is really, to be able to be going that long.
Yeah. They hosted a sing along Wicker Man.
I heard about that. Yes,
that's where so I'd met Francesca at the Jack in the Green walk previously, but we just kind of only really met at the end. But I bumped into her. She was dressed as Rowan Morrison, obviously, and that's kind of where our friendship kind of took off. Actually, it was from that screening of the Wicker Man.
Like, we actually connected.
Yeah, we actually like exchanged numbers and stuff, and like started hanging out after that.
And how did she end up here then?
So she spends her time like half between London and then Bristol.
Right.
I think she just contacted Monica and was like, hey, I want to read here. Because Rachel was already kind of established since the shop opened.
Right.
But I think Francesca was like, I think there's room for like more. And also that's what they were also thinking, Monica and Rachel were like, we could do with some more people in. And then Francesca was like, you should email too. So I was like, okay.
Amazing.
So she helped me to get in. Although I was one of the volunteers that helped to paint in here as well. When it was first
beautiful
opening.
In here. It's such a beautiful shop. We'll have to do a little. Well, you'll see.
Yeah. Is there anything else that's coming up in the shop soon? Like, because you do some like little events downstairs in there.
Yeah, downstairs and upstairs. I've got some little circles coming up. I'm just having a bit of a reimagining of what they look like, making sure that they're really accessible to the community. There's a gathering by the with the trans community, and kind of leading the space on the 19th, which is a Monday. Rachel holds regular Tarot Thursdays, teaching all different parts of tarot. But there's always lots of different bits coming up. Oh, there's a singles night as well, actually. Which I was just looking for the flyer. It's down there. Yeah, there's a couple of singles nights coming up as well, which should be quite fun.
If you're spooky and single, this is your place.
In Bristol, I think they're both in June. So yeah, come on down.
That's really cool.
I think they'll be drinking some like Aphrodite's tea and having some like love potions and things, I think.
Love that. Thank you so much for this conversation. It's been amazing.
It's been really nice.
Thank you so much for coming on today. It's been lovely to have you. And if you want to follow Liz at home, you can find her at Jupiter Oak Tarot. Here's that card. It's cute. At Jupiter Oak Tarot on Instagram. Give Liz a follow.
Thanks.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been really lovely to have you. And thank you everyone at home for tuning in. We've been at the Haunted Bookshop in Bristol. Thank you for having us. It's been awesome to be here. And definitely come and check it out. There's so many books to see here, and all of the books I'm pretty sure are available either on the website or in
Monica
store.
orders them in all the time for people as well. So
So if you are Bristol based and there's anything you want, chat to Monica and she can order it in for you. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in at home for another episode of Embracing Magic. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, and we will see you all very soon.